Welcome to CPXL. This podcast of CrossPoint Church is designed to encourage you to go further and grow deeper. CrossPoint is a rural multi-site church committed to taking the gospel to every place and everyone. You can access all CrossPoint resources at crosspointchurch.com. But now, let's join this episode of CPXL with your host, Pastor Andy Addis.
And the wonderful Mrs. Addis. And if you joined us last week, you know we're recording a couple of these in a row. So we are still on the road. Actually, Kathy is still on the road. And she is in our mobile studio in Stillwater, Oklahoma, also known as the family truckster with an iPhone.
Yeah, in the hospital parking lot. It's a good time.
Well, hopefully by the time people hear this, because this should be a week down the road, that you're home and mom's doing better. We'll all hope for that. Yes. But either way, people can still pray for Grandma Eula. Grandma Eula.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That'd be great.
Which, we haven't talked about this in a while. You share a name with your mother. Matter of fact, she is Eula the second.
Grandma or Eula?
Well, both of them now. You share Grandma and you share Eula. My wife, yes. Kathleen, is actually her middle name. Her first name is End User License Agreement, which is what we all click the button on, EULA.
Okay. So it started with Eula Gladys, and then it went to Eula Faye, and now I'm Eula Kathleen, and I had boys.
Okay, so your grandma was Eula the first, and your mom is Eula the second. That makes you... Come on.
Eula Kathleen.
Eula the third. I love it.
And yes, he has done that since we dated. And 30 years later, it's just as funny as it was the first time.
It is. It's hilarious. I love your name. It's great. So unique. I'm going to start calling you 3. Oh, wait.
Are you?
You call me Neo. I'll call you Trinity. We'll be from the Matrix. Sorry. All right, we are.
Oh my goodness!
I need
to come home.
Little backstory on Kathy there. Eula Kathleen Addis.
Yes.
Next week we'll talk about your maiden name. That was also fun. So here we go. Just save
Moving on.
We'll be good. We've been going through the book of Proverbs, and the book of Proverbs is such a great book on wisdom. There are some passages where it seems to repeat. As a matter of fact, this week's chapter, we're on chapter 7. If you're doing the experiment with us, so if you're doing the plan with us, you read the chapter that week, and then we pick a portion of it, and we do a deeper dive on that. And this week is chapter 7. You say, I didn't do it. Well, read it after this. It'll still be there. It'll be all right. Proverbs chapter 7 harkens back to some teaching that we heard that I was a little uncomfortable with, because it was talking about, the being pure, right? What? It was talking about loving on your wife is what it was talking about. But this has some throwback to that, because it's talking about the foolishness of being wayward in your sexuality, of sleeping around, of not protecting the marriage bed, all of that kind of stuff. And so I've just titled this particular lesson, Making Better Choices, or actually Make Better Choices. And that was a theme not around all topics as we raised boys, wasn't it? Just do better.
Yeah.
Don't do that again.
Yes. Yeah, make better choices than you've made, make better choices than your friends make. Yeah.
The reality is, if you've raised boys, and ours are grown, and they've done so well, and we're very proud of them, so we're just talking about who they used to be as they were growing and maturing. Sometimes I didn't even say make better choices. I said, just think and make a choice, right? Use that noggin of yours. Don't just let stuff happen. And that's kind of what we get here at the beginning, and then it goes a little bit fuller than that. We're going to look at a few verses, and then we're going to follow it down even further. But we are in Proverbs chapter 7. I'm in the ESV, and you are in the NLT. I'm going to read verses 7, 8, and 9. And as we do, I want you to then read verses 7, 8, and 9, but out of the NLT. So I'll read them first. Okay. In verse 7 of chapter 7, it says, actually, let's go back up to verse 6. Let's start at verse 6 because it sets the stage. Chapter 7, verse 6. Oh. For at the window of my house I have looked out through my lattice, and I have seen among the simple, I have perceived among the youths a young man lacking sense. passing along the street near her corner, taking the road to her house, in the twilight, in the evening, at the time of night and darkness. And the woman that he's talking about is this woman of ill repute. It's the whole chapter is called "The Warning Against the Adulteress," and so we've got this picture of him looking out. Read that same passage for us, 6-9 in the NLT, please.
While I was at the window of my house looking through the curtain, I saw some naive young men, and one in particular who lacked common sense. He was crossing the street near the house of an immoral woman, strolling down the path by her house. It was at twilight in the evening as deep darkness fell.
All right, so let's see what we got going on here. It's a description of what not to be up front. And verse 7, we have this picture of what he sees through his window. And the picture is this: I have seen among the simple. The word simple is a great word here because it's actually a word that helps describe the foolish person. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull up a Strong's Concordance number here. Just want to make sure I'm saying it just right. It is pathe or pathy, and it simply means the foolish or simple one, simplicity kind of one. I've seen among the simple, and we like simple. I like simple things, but when you are called simple, that's not a positive.
That's not a compliment.
No,
it's not a compliment.
And then he goes on and says, I have perceived among the youths. And so it's not that youths are bad, but youths lack experience and yet lack some knowledge. And I loved what the NLT said, and one in particular. Mine says a young man. So here's what he does. He's looking out through his window. He's the king, and he sees all these simple people that are just, they're not thinking right. And then he sees amongst them a group of youth. But then his mind goes to one specific guy. And it says, mine says, a young man lacking sense. What does yours say at the end of verse 7? What guy is it?
Who lacked common sense.
Lack common sense. That is the most common translation. Mine says sense, yours says common sense. But the word is actually lave in the Hebrew, and I love this. Lacking or needing lave. So it's two words, lack or need, and then lave. Lave is translated almost every other place in the Old Testament as heart. And heart in the Hebrew was the center of where you are. So common sense, yes, but it's more of your emotional being. It's more of the very character that you have, not just common sense. So he sees these simple people, and he sees a group of youth, so they're not even grown up to be as smart as the simple people yet. And out of them, he sees one that lacks even heart. He's literally lacking lave, which is the word in the actual lexicon is this, to vary widely for feelings, for will, for intellect. It is the center of anything. So he's uncentered. That if we could put it anywhere else, he's got no center. He lacks any kind of compass. He blows in the wind. His friends say this, and he goes with these friends, and a girl says this about him, and it destroys him. And he's got nothing centered or strong about him. So do we have a good picture of who we're talking about here?
Yeah, that goes so much deeper than what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I thought naive.
Well, and naivety is a part of it, but you just have to think his naivety. That's why there's this. It's simple to youths to then lacks even heart. There's no center about him. He's just this amorphous cloud of hormones and need, right? That's what he is. Now the problem is that not everybody grows out of this stage, and you're going to have to decide whether you actually passed youth and simplicity and grew up, or maybe you're still there as that amorphous cloud of hormone and need. I'm going to write that in my Bible. That's what I'm going to call him for the rest of.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Verse 8. Now, what does this amorphous cloud of hormone and need do? Passing along the street near her corner, taking the road to her house. Now, you may just think that is, by chance. The reason that's there is he's looking out, he sees these crowds milling about, but this one guy, because he doesn't have a center, he is actually walking on the razor's edge near trouble. He is passing by, and he's putting himself in a place because he actually wants what's inside that house. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was dating in junior high, before I had the opportunity to drive, didn't have a car, there was a girl. Oh, I was so madly in love. You remember those days, don't you, dear? So madly in love that I pretended to want to jog. I've never wanted to jog in my life. And the only reason I wanted to jog is I would jog past her house just to see if I could get near. Maybe she'd be outside.
Let's be honest. You would walk up to a couple of houses before her house,
Hey!
jog past a couple of houses, then walk.
We don't need to be telling your full stories on everything here. But yes.
That's what I would have done.
But what you would do is you just want to get by. I want to go by. I want to be near and see. Maybe she's outside. Maybe I'd get invited in. Maybe there's a burglar and I could defend him and become the hero of the family and she'll want to marry me. You know, all those kind of stupid things that go through your head. And so we have this guy, and he's lacking common sense. He's lacking experience. He's lacking wisdom. He's lacking everything. But he just keeps putting himself in dangerous places. Now, I'm just going to let that sink in for a second. He keeps putting himself where his mind and his heart and his body can get in trouble. All right. Verse 9. In the twilight, I've got to back up, put it all together. And I've seen among the simple, I've perceived among the youths, a young man lacking in sense, passing along the street near her corner, taking the road to her house. In the twilight, in the evening, at the time of night and darkness. What do you think's being said there? If you just took a stab, what is the observer saying is the problem with regard to verse 9? In the twilight, in the evening, at the time of night and darkness.
Where nobody could see him?
That's probably, the darkness does
Like
cover
he's
that.
hiding?
Could be hiding. What have you said to our boys when you say, be home by midnight, because...
Nothing good happens after that.
Nothing good happens after that. This is a biblical allusion to the fact that he is not only acting senselessly, but he's putting himself in a dangerous spot, and he's doing it at the optimal times. If you're going to fall into the arms of an adulterous woman in the twilight, under the cover of darkness, at night. And so he's not only putting himself in a bad place, he's going at a bad time. So in communication, we used to call it chronemics. So when I used to teach interpersonal communication at Fort Hays State University, go Tigers! When I used to teach, we taught chronemics, and I would use this as an example. So we'll do this together here. What does it mean if your friend says hello to you as you see them in the afternoon?
What does it mean?
Yeah. If your friend calls in the middle of the afternoon, say 3 o'clock in the afternoon, your friend calls. What does it mean?
Nothing.
What does it mean if your friend calls you at 10:30 at night?
There's probably something wrong.
What does it mean if your friend calls you at 3 a.m.?
Something is definitely wrong.
See, nothing changed except the time. And chronemics communicates to you urgency and need. And in this case, the fact that he walked by her house in the twilight, in the evening, at the time of night and darkness. He uses 4 words to describe the timing. So that he is picking this time. He is an amorphous cloud of hormones that is on the prowl, and he is hoping to find trouble, is what he's looking for. Now, he would never say that.
Wow.
I'm just walking here. I'm just walking over here at night, middle of the night. I'm just walking over here. And the king is going, listen, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. So we have all of this that leads to this incredible place. We don't have time to read all of it. Actually, what we're going to do, instead of studying it all, let me just read for you what happens when he puts himself in this place. Verse 10, and behold, the woman meets him dressed as a prostitute, wily of heart. She is loud and wayward. Her feet do not stay at home. Now in the street, now in the market, and at every corner she lies in wait. She seizes him and kisses him, and with bold face, this is what he wanted. She seizes him and kisses him, and with bold face says to him, I had to offer sacrifices, and today I have paid my vows. Apparently that was super hot back in the day for temple prostitutes, right?
Evidently.
Pagan temple prostitutes, yeah. So now I have come out to meet you, to seek you eagerly, and I have found you. I have spread my couch with coverings, colored linens from Egyptian linen. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, that sounds like it would give me a rash. I'll be really honest with you. Cinnamon? Anyway, sorry. Come, let us take our fill of love till morning. Let us delight ourselves with love, for my husband is not at home. Oh, she's not only a prostitute, she's a married prostitute. My husband is not at home. He's gone on a long journey. He took a bag of money with him. At full moon, he will come home. See, I know when he's coming home, everything is safe. It's fine. Everything's good. Oh, with much seductive speech, she persuades him. With her smooth talk, she compels him. I'm going to tell you, I don't think he took that much smooth talking. But he wanted to pretend like he had to be seduced. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He wanted to, till an arrow, her smooth talk, she compels him all at once. If I had a crowd here, I'd say it with me, all at once.
All at once.
All at once, he follows her. See, when he made that decision, it was, I resist. Oh, and now I'm completely in. But look what happens. All at once, he follows her. As an ox goes to slaughter, or as a stag is caught fast, till an arrow pierces its liver, as a bird rushes into a snare, he does not know that it will cost him his life.
Woo!
Yeah. Slaughter. Not just ox, stag, bird, deer, or what? No, sorry, not deer. I just imagine deer with the liver. Doesn't know it's going to cost him his life. So here's the lesson. Make better choices. He got slaughtered in the end. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen marriages get slaughtered. Yeah. Relationships in the church get slaughtered. And where did it start? I don't want to be overly dramatic, but with stupid decisions made way up the road. Not using your head, not putting your heart in the right place, but being in the wrong place at the wrong time and consistently just waiting for that moment.
Yeah, intentionally doing that.
Yeah.
Just walking on the wrong side of the road.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It seems so benign, but in the act of walking on the wrong side of the road or even hanging out with his friends, that wasn't the problem. It was the intention of his heart when he started out. Like he intentionally went away from his friends to the other side of the street where he ought not to have been.
100%. And so, what does it boil down to? We've got the story of this wayward simpleton youth, but man, it's a story of us all. When our heart's in the wrong place and we're putting ourselves in the wrong place and we're doing it at the wrong time, we're literally courting danger. And for whatever reason, is it financial? Is it spiritual? Is it relational? The answer is yes. And we walk that line and we put ourselves in that place of hot mess. So you and I, we're like human beings, we all have a history. And if we went through, we could probably tell 100 stories at times that now we would have made a different decision. And it's almost never that I would have made a different decision at that moment. I would have made 5 decisions before that better. Right?
Yeah.
It's that whole domino thing. Like I didn't get up, got up and got on the scale this morning. I'm like, man, I shouldn't have had that dinner last night. No, the issue is I got about a month's worth of dinners in me.
Yeah.
That went the wrong direction, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right.
So here we go. This is a look at just making better choices, and I pray that for you it would be something that would challenge you to do exactly that, to make those better choices. Your CPXL challenge is this, to pray about, ask the Lord, Psalm 139 this, seek me and show me if there's any wicked way in me. Are you walking too close to the line? Are you putting yourself in a bad place? Are you not giving yourself the heart that you need to have to make good choices? Go back upstream and start making better choices. Before it's too late, before you're caught like a bird in a snare, let's make better choices. Many blessings. We'll see you again real soon on another episode of CPXL.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of CPXL. We hope that you have been challenged to go further and grow deeper. If this podcast has been a help to you, we ask that you would like, comment, and share on whatever platform you use. And if you would like to access additional resources, go to crosspointchurch.com. We will see you again soon on another edition of CPXL.